Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. We start with the big story from Assam, which has made headlines today, which has hit the headlines today. Well, in what can be termed as a plot straight out of a crime thriller, the state CID has finally cracked the Dhula murder case in Darang district, which has been making headlines in the last few days. While the death of a minor domestic help was initially dismissed as a case of suicide, the Assam CID has now established that the girl was allegedly sexually assaulted and murdered by her employer. During a press briefing by Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma today, the ADG CID gave out chilling details of the crime. Well, the CID had taken over the probe of the case in August after intervention from the CM and submitted its charge sheet within a month in September. What it took for the CID to crack this case, which was dismissed initially as a case of suicide? Well, to know firsthand about the entire investigation process, we are being joined tonight by ADG CID Mr. A Krishna, who of course led the probe. And I also have with me Dr. Sunita Chankakoti, Chairperson, Assam State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. But I'll go to Mr. Krishna first. Mr. Krishna, first of all, congratulations to you and your team for cracking the case. Indeed, great job done, great job accomplished, sir. What made the CID suspect that there was foul play involved in the case when all reports and so-called evidence was, if I can say, quote unquote, successfully tampered with?
Yeah, thank you for the compliments. It was a team effort. The entire CID and specifically the SIT that was formed has worked day and night for the last 8 weeks to successfully complete the investigation. Now, the main issue that came up was that we have done a reconstruction of the entire scene of crime. So, we prepared a dummy of the same height and same weight as that of the victim girl, and then we have scientifically and technically and logically proved that the girl would not have been able to commit suicide with that height by standing on the stools that were shown to have been used by the accused, that the victim has used these tools to commit suicide. So, once this is over, then we thought that there is no way the girl could have tied the knot to the ceiling fan herself. That means somebody else has done it. So, then it amounts to murder. So, we got the second post-mortem done by exhuming the body with the permission of the Honorable Court and with the consent of the parents of the victim. And the second post-mortem report has clearly brought out the injuries that were there on the skull and the neck, which were caused by a blunt weapon with use of force, and these were not recorded in the first post-mortem report nor in the inquest report. The magistrate and the doctors are duty bound to record these injuries in their reports because this forms a very crucial piece of evidence. So, once we got this done, then we got the FSL report of the garments of the victim girl, where there were body fluids, and we got the body fluid matched with that of the suspect accused by doing a DNA profiling, which is another scientific tool which we have used. And with this we could pinpointedly find out who is the accused, who was responsible for those body fluids on the garments of the victim girl. And once this is done, then we took him into custody, thoroughly interrogated him, and then we found out that he has murdered her using a coil rope. So, during this interrogation he has confessed, and we did a recovery under section 27 of Indian Evidence Act, and the rope, coconut coil rope, which was used for murdering and strangulating the victim girl, has been recovered. So, with these pieces of evidence we could successfully charge sheet the case.
Absolutely. Detailed investigation there, but it has not been easy, of course, for the team, since lot of anomalies found in the previous investigation, previous probe. So, Mr. Krishna, my next question to you is, what were the initial challenges that your team faced in the probe?
See, the initial challenge was that both the inquest and the PM report were in favor of the accused. So, we had to first prove that the contents of these two reports are false and fabricated. So, for that we had to go scientifically step by step, do the reconstruction of scene of crime, engage a board of forensic medicine experts from elite institutes like AIMS, NEGRIMS and GMC, and we had to study ourselves the forensic medicine with regard to ligature marks. Then we did the second postmortem. So, these things have proved to be very crucial and critical than the DNA profiling and the FSL report. So, getting a second postmortem done, exhuming the body, then identifying the body fluids through the FSL on the garments of the victim, and identifying the injuries that were there in a body which was been buried for about 2 months, because the incident took place in the month of June and we got the case only in the month of August. So, these were the challenges and hurdles that were there, but we could successfully step by step manner, because of the hard work and commitment shown by the team of CID officers, we were able to do this.
Well, Mr. Krishna, as you just mentioned, it was only after a month after the case that the CID took charge of the investigation. If I can ask you, how many days into the investigation, did the CID realize that they are on track and that something big is going to be unearthed, and probably something is fishy in the case and it definitely has to reach its logical end?
Maybe within the first 10 days, once the reconstruction of scene of crime was done, then we were confident that this cannot be a case of suicide. Then we started looking into the angles of murder, and the FSL reports and the postmortem and the board of forensic medicine experts, then everything fell in line one after another.
Now, did you find it shocking that from the post-mortem report to the inquest report, everything was allegedly compromised with in this case initially?
See, whether it is compromised or not, it is for the courts to decide. But the fact is that very simple things, like the magistrate has written that he has seen the body in the hanging position, which is completely far from the truth. He has seen the body on the floor of the ground floor of the house, whereas the incident took place in the first floor. And in fact, not only he, nobody has seen the victim in the hanging position except the narration given by the accused. So, these things were very glaring, and the height of the body was not measured. When it was 4 feet 8 inch, the magistrate recorded it as 3 feet 5 inches. And the ligature marks were not recorded, whether it is oblique or circular, which is a specific question in the inquest pro forma. It is a cyclostyle pre-fixed pro forma which has to be filled in. So, there he just wrote mark on the neck, conveniently to not committing this side or that side. So, how difficult it will be for the investigator if such inquest reports are generated and produced.
Now, Mr. Krishna, during the interaction with the media today during the afternoon, you also mentioned how your team consulted with experts from AIMS, from NEGRIMS, from GMCH, and also did a detailed medical study in course of investigating the case. How challenging was the entire probe, and was it a learning experience for the team as well?
Yes, it was indeed a learning experience. It was at the end of the day a very satisfying experience, professionally very satisfying, and morally also there is a satisfaction that the victim has finally the truth we were able to unearth as far as investigation is concerned.
And what lessons does this case hold, especially for the police? Now, this is not the first time that a domestic help has been probably sexually assaulted and even physically beaten up, even murdered. So, what lessons, especially in terms of probe, does it hold for the police, for the authorities, according to you?
Yeah, the basic lesson is the most important and crucial documents or procedures that are to be followed in case of an unnatural death of a allegation of a suicide, that too of a minor girl child. It has to be a meticulous inquest and a meticulous postmortem, and all the possible evidences from the body of the victim should be sent to FSL for a detailed examination, and it should be done at the earliest possible time without a delay. Otherwise, the delay may result in losing the evidence, delay may result in deterioration of the evidence, and the delay may also result in sometimes completely having no value for the evidence which otherwise would have had some evidence had it been examined on time. For example, the body fluids will have a life. They will not be eternally be able to chemically examine even after several weeks. So, it should be done meticulously and on time, and supervisory officers should supervise such sensitive cases and guide the IOs and ensure that all the procedures that are to be adopted are followed.
And Mr. Krishna, finally, will cracking of this case serve as an example for dealing with similar cases in the future? And the bottom line is doing things right, doing the basics right. Probably a lot of basic stuff was not done right in this case, and that's why it reached this situation. A second post-mortem had to be done. So what are the lessons that the authorities can take in dealing with future cases, going by the way your team proved this case?
This is an learning experience for us also, and for me as an individual professional also, this has been a learning experience, and definitely it will be a learning experience for all the other police officers in the state. We did share this case study presentation in the SP's conference, and even the additional SPs were part of this presentation that was made. So obviously, when a case study is there, this becomes a good case study and a learning experience for all of us, and you learn while doing. It's not that in the training you learn everything and come in the field. As you see new cases, as you try to detect new cases and try to get more evidences and use the scientific tools and the forensic tools, then you will gain experience. And obviously this has been a learning experience not only for the CID and SIT, but for several other police officers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krishna, for your inputs on this, for the details of the probe. I know you're busy this evening, so thank you so much for sparing your time. And once again, congratulations to your team, sir. Now, before I come to Dr. Chankakuti in the studio, let's listen to what Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma had to say during the press conference today on the case.
এই ঘটনাটো এই কাৰণে খুব ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট ঘটনা আছিল যে মৃত্যুৰ বহুদিন পিছত আৰু মৃত শৰীৰটোক সৎকাৰ কৰাৰ পিছত সমাধিস্থ হোৱাৰ বহুদিন পিছত প্ৰায় এমাহ মান পিছত এই ঘটনাক সম্পূৰ্ণকৈ নতুন হিচাপত তদন্ত কৰিবলগীয়া হয় আৰু এই তদন্ত কৰিব যাওঁতে CIDয়ে ফৰেনচিক আৰু বহুতবোৰ সাইন্টিফিক এভিডেন্স কালেক্ট কৰিছিলে যিবোৰ অসম পুলিচৰ বাবে তদন্তৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত এটা নতুন দিশ উন্মোচিত কৰিছে যোৱা 17 আগষ্ট 2022 তাৰিখে CIDয়ে এই ঘটনাৰ তদন্ত হাতত লয় আৰু 25 সেপ্টেম্বৰ অৰ্থাৎ প্ৰায় এমাহৰ ভিতৰত এই ঘটনাৰ তদন্ত সমাপ্ত কৰি আদালতৰ ওচৰত চাৰ্জশিট বুলি যি অভিযোগনামা সেই অভিযোগনামা দাখিল কৰে এই অভিযোগনামাত যি গৰাকী মেইন একিউজ কৃষ্ণ কমল বৰুৱা তেখেতৰ বিৰুদ্ধে হত্যা sexual assault destruction of evidence আৰু attempt to rape ভাৰতীয় দণ্ডবিধিৰ কেবাটাও দফাত এই ব্যক্তিগৰাকীক অভিযুক্ত কৰা হয় তদন্তৰ সময়ত CID নজৰলৈ আহে যে ঘটনাৰ গোটেই বিষয়টো গাপ দিয়া দৰং জিলাৰ আৰক্ষী অধীক্ষক অতিৰিক্ত আৰক্ষী অধীক্ষক ধুলা থানাৰ ভাৰপ্ৰাপ্ত বিষয়া আৰু যিগৰাকী দণ্ডাধীশে ইনকুৱেষ্ট কৰিছিল তেখেতৰ ভূমিকা আৰু যিগৰাকী পোষ্টমৰ্টেম কৰা ডক্টৰ আছিল এই আটাইৰে ভূমিকা সন্দেহৰ ঊৰ্ধ্বত নাছিলে এই ক্ষেত্ৰত তেখেতসকলৰ বিষয়েও CIDয়ে অনুসন্ধান কৰে আৰু কেতবোৰ তথ্য CIDৰ হাতলৈ আহে তাৰ ফলত CIDয়ে দৰং জিলাৰ আৰক্ষী অধীক্ষক গৰাকীক তদানীন্তন আৰক্ষী অধীক্ষক গৰাকীক গ্ৰেপ্তাৰ কৰে অতিৰিক্ত আৰক্ষী অধীক্ষক গৰাকীক গ্ৰেপ্তাৰ কৰে কাৰ্যবাহী দণ্ডাধীশ গৰাকীক আজি গ্ৰেপ্তাৰ কৰে চিকিৎসক গৰাকীক গ্ৰেপ্তাৰ কৰে আৰু ধুলা থানাৰ ভাৰপ্ৰাপ্ত তদানীন্তন বিষয়াগৰাকীকো গ্ৰেপ্তাৰ কৰে। যিকোনো অভিযোগৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত পুলিচে অভিযোগনামা দাখিল কৰিব পাৰে। দোষী আৰু নিৰ্দোষীৰ শেষ বিচাৰ সদায় আদালতৰ মজিয়াত হ'ব। সেইকাৰণে আমি একেও শব্দটো আমি কম, আমি কাকো দোষী বা নিৰ্দোষী কোৱাৰ আইনগত অধিকাৰ আমাৰ নাই, কিন্তু আমাৰ অভিযোগনামাত আমি তেওঁলোকক অভিযুক্ত কৰিছোঁ আৰু সেইকাৰণে সেই ৰাইডাৰটো সন্মুখত লৈ যে আমি এই গোটেই ঘটনাটোত নিৰপেক্ষ বিচাৰ আদালতৰ মজিয়াতে হ'ব।
Still accused in the case. That's what the Assam Chief Minister said. Now, Dr. Chankakoti, as the chairperson of the Assam State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, does it shock you, this entire case, this entire development, how things unfolded? 13-year-old minor domestic help from an underprivileged family, definitely, working somewhere because they are underprivileged and deprived of education, deprived of maybe basic facilities, and then allegedly brutally, sexually assaulted and murdered, and then the case is dismissed as that of suicide. How do you look at it?
Yeah, it's absolutely shocking. I don't understand how so many people were involved. Those who are having laws in their hand, who can, work with, who are dealing with the laws. They have been also involved. It's very shocking because the child, what we have found that the child has been deprived of all the rights. Like she has been deprived of education. Has been used as child labor. Then Section 75 of Juvenile Justice Act is also applicable because she was physically and mentally abused. So many sections under Juvenile Justice Act have been now applicable. So it's a really shocking incident, but I am very proud of our Honorable Chief Minister that he has intervened in this case, and because of his intervention, the police has, the CID has taken up this case very efficiently. Now ultimately the accused has been now, and it's a very it's a grand success that after closing up the case, again the case has been revived, and then the action has been taken, and the accused has been now identified, accused has been arrested. So it's a great success. So there are many such cases of murder or sexual assault, sexual abuse of domestic help. So I hope that these cases will also now be again intervened by the police, and the accused will get real stringent punishment. So that's what we expect now.
Now, as the CID investigation revealed, the basic things were not done right.
Yes.
For instance, the accused claimed that he had brought down the victim died by hanging herself, and that he had brought down the victim with the help of the milkman, who later, during the investigation by the CID, denied of even seeing the body hanging. He said that he hasn't even seen the knot tied on the neck of the victim, and that he didn't touch the body. And it was dismissed as a case of suicide. Even when the mark on the neck, it has to be specified whether it's an oval mark or it's a circular mark. Those details were missing from the inquest report as per the CID probe. So clearly this is quite shocking, because this may not be the only case. This is one case which was reinvestigated, post-mortem done for a second time, and well, if the girl, if the body would have been cremated, for instance. In this case, it was buried,
yes.
So it could be exhumed and the post-mortem could be done once again. Yes. But if the body would have been cremated, then probably it would have remained a shut case.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, there are many such cases, as I have already mentioned, that there are many such cases which need to be reinvestigated because there are many faults during investigation, like preparation of charge sheet properly, then incorporating of the relevant sections. So there may be many gaps, so which need to be looked into, and it's a responsibility of the investigating officer to incorporate investigate properly and then to incorporate the appropriate sections. So once a small section, once a section is missing somewhere, then the accused can easily escape. So one has to be very careful, and there are many such cases, because in the Child Rights Commission itself, so far we have received about 64 cases of child labor, and most of which are domestic labor. So we have seen that many cases, like we know in Assam there were few more cases where the child was used as domestic labor, and later on the child was killed or murdered or sexually assaulted, but the accused was arrested, of course, but I don't know whether the proper sections were incorporated or not, but the accused has been able to escape easily. So it's a very serious offense and very serious issue which has to be looked into.
No, one thing is, as you have mentioned the number of cases, one thing is certain, that the number of minor domestic help, it continues to be very high and sizable, and it continues to rise. People don't seem to care. What is the way out? How to resolve this? Of course, the families also send their children, send their wards, send the minor girls, boys to do domestic work, because probably they are left with no choice, and it's a really critical situation. But then even the people who hire them, who employ them, despite all the awareness, even they are not discouraged. And of course, we don't see any attempt to give this children any sort of education. Forget about that; they are abused and physically assaulted, and there doesn't seem to be a decline in such cases, despite the hue and cry when cases like these come to fore.
Yes, in spite of hue and cry, there are still so many cases, and surprisingly, the so-called middle class people, urban people, government employees, they have been using children as a domestic help. So it's very surprising, and many people, they even don't want to let the people know. Many children have been kept inside the house. People do not know about, even the neighbors do not know. We have seen such type of cases also. So despite generation of awareness, still this has been happening. So this Dhula case has been a very good example. I think people will be afraid now to keep a child as domestic help, and this should be an example for the people who abuse the children, as not only as child labor, also abuse mentally, physically, sexually. So this is a very good example for the people, and it's a good warning for the people. That's what I believe.
Dr. Chankakoti, what can the State Commission for Protection of Child Rights do to ensure that there are not many minor domestic helps around, that people are discouraged to hire them? Or do you think you are constrained for resources and nothing much can be done? You are helpless. Yes, you are there, but you are helpless in a way.
Yeah, whenever we get any such information, it may be through WhatsApp, or it may be through media, printing media or electronic media, or even over telephone also, or complaint through email. So we take up the case immediately, and then we inform the respective police or superintendent of police of the respective districts, and then we do the follow-up. But I would just like to give an example where we felt helpless. There was a sensational case of murder of a child, and we intervened. We tried to do as much as possible from our end so that the accused gets punishment. And in fact, the person was, I would not mention in details, but the case was from Upper Assam, and the employer was an employee of a big agency here in Assam, based in Assam. But unfortunately, and we, the police took its own action, but also we thought that, I mean, we tried that the accused the action should be taken by the employer agency against the accused. But so we wrote to the employer agency, but they said that they cannot do this because they cannot do anything against. I mean, I mean, in regards to his service, they cannot do anything because the incident has not occurred in their area, and there is not enough proof against the accused. So everyone knows about the case, and there were proofs also, but we could not do anything. So they did not do anything.
Do you usually get cooperation from the police in such cases? What is the initial reaction? You have been dealing with such cases day in and day out. What is the initial reaction of the authorities? Of course, we have to give credit. It is the Assam police, the CID of Assam police, which has again cracked this case. But again, we have to also say in a way that it was also the initial investigation done by the local police there, which was not up to the mark. So what is the, at the common Thana level, what kind of cooperation do you get in such cases?
Yes, that is a challenge I must mention, because in many times, not only child labor case, in other cases also, the local Thana, at the local Thana level, the cases are not taken up very fast. So again, we have to write to the concerned officer of the district, and then from the concerned officer, head of the police from the district only, after their intervention only, the local Thana becomes active. So there is a gap between the local Thana level officials and the top, I mean, in regards to implementation, I mean, action taking.
What are usually the common grounds, some of the common grounds on which probably they refused to, quote unquote, refused to file an FIR? What are the common grounds that you see in, they quote and probably refused or delay filing of the FIR, the challenges that you've been facing?
I mean, this is in case of all cases?
Yes, generally, if there's a delay.
There are different reasons. Like I would like to cite another example where there was a POCSO case. The guardian of the victim came to us, approached us, and then while we intervened, we found that the local Thana level officer, in fact, told the guardian of the victim that you please compromise the case, because it will be difficult for your child who is only 7 years old. This is our experience of our Child Rights Commission, who is only 7 years old. The local Thana insisted that let the case be closed, let us compromise, because it will be difficult for your daughter to get married. Just imagine, the girl was only 7 years old. So this is the situation, and we have found, and we have been receiving, very recently we have received complaint from an NGO that the local, in case of a POCSO victim of a minor girl, the accused was not arrested, police was delaying, and her medical test was not done. Then the NGO approached us, and after our intervention only, we had to write to the concerned police officer of the district, and after his initiative only, the accused was arrested after 2 months of the incident. So this is the situation, ground situation. I would say that at top level officials are very much sensitized, and we always get cooperation from them, and they are very proactive. But the ground level, in the ground level, the situation is like this. It sometimes becomes very difficult.
Do you think, however, Dr. Chankakoti, that things are changing, and this case at hand under Dorong, does it also say that finally this government under Chief Minister Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sharma has pledged to take development, progress, justice to everyone, irrespective of background? Do you think finally this is happening? And this case probably is a big example of this. Justice for the commoners, even justice belongs to the commoners, even it's not just for the mighty and powerful. Does it portray?
Yes. we are very proud of our Honorable Chief Minister, because this is not only the first case. Even before also, all of us remember just last year or a couple of years, he intervened in case of child labor who were brought from Sikkim. So in that case also he intervened very proactively, and all the children were rescued. There were about 80, more than 80 children who were working as child labor in Sikkim. They had been rescued from Sikkim and they have been placed in different children home, and they have been restored to their respective home. So we have seen that our Honorable Chief Minister has taken up, especially in regards to child rights issues. He is working very proactively, and he has taken very seriously. So in his intervention, and this is I have already mentioned, this is an example, and let this be an example for all the people who are engaging children as child labor and abusing the children. So let this be an example. Let the people be afraid now, and this is going to generate awareness, mass awareness among the people. So I would, from the Assam State Commission of Protection of Child Rights, I would like to extend my our thanks to our Honorable Chief Minister.
That's well summed up, Dr. Chankakoti. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and let's hope this case also serves as a warning to all authorities, all officials, everyone, to the accused, to the criminals, everyone, that no one can go scot-free. There can be a second probe, if need be, there can be a third probe, but if the government of the day, if the police, if the authorities do want, they will definitely ensure justice.